Get a little stretch in before we get into this game. Gotta stay limber.
Game 4 incoming. eNtitY versus PalaDiN on Star Station. I love this map.
It's a neat map because it splits nicely down the middle if it's forced cross positions, which this is not.
In the lower right-hand corner, the color switching Protoss. Wearing teal this time is eNtitY.
PalaDiN.
PalaDiN. Quit switching your colors, people.
In the top left, we have the red Protoss currently up 2-1. It is eNtitY.
Are you sure?
I am sure. I actually mouse over and check the name before I say it.
All right. eNtitY we've got in red. PalaDiN we've got in teal.
No, other way around. No, sorry. Now I'm confused.
You're confusing me.
You're right now.
I know I'm right.
All right.
Believe it. All right.
Yuck, yuck, yuck.
Just what I need is someone to tell me I'm wrong when I did it right for once. Looks like PalaDiN is going to be making probes and pylons like every good Protoss should do. Same for eNtitY.
It is their yin and yang.
It is indeed. Air obviously going to be quite the potential here because you can almost just build your Stargate in your main and have it be nearly as close as a proxy.
It's very true.
Both players are going to scout to their right sides.
Apparently they decided to delete Google Maps and reinstall iMaps.
Apple Maps are amazing.
eNtitY going for the double gas again. Getting the gateway.
PalaDiN doing the same thing. Double gas out of full. Gateway coming down, pylons coming down. Now our builds are nice and symmetrical. eNtitY automatically puts 2 guys in his workers, just like we have seen every game so far. Same out of PalaDiN. Cybercore going down for both players at the same time, nearly exactly.
These probes are going to cross, and that's probably going to give each other some indication.
Depends on if they were actually looking.
That's a good point. They're just going to keep going on the original trajectory.
eNtitY putting down a second gateway, right as his Cybercore is about half done.
PalaDiN does the same?
Same exact thing out of PalaDiN. Maybe these guys have the same playbook.
Maybe.
As these Cybernetics cores finish up, we'll see if they put down Warp Gate right away, which eNtitY does, and so does PalaDiN. So Warp Gate will come out nearly simultaneously for both players as their scout probes at the 4-minute mark finally reach the opponent's bases. eNtitY coming in, seeing a Cybernetics core churning away, a Nexus making probes, and 2 gateways. Now PalaDiN coming into eNtity's base, seeing the same exact thing. Stalker pops out just in time to trap that probe and get a few shots off. Takes care of him, knocking him down.
A near identical thing happens in eNtity's base.
And we got 2 Stalkers coming out for PalaDiN and 1 for eNtity. PalaDiN also going a Mothership core. eNtity opted to not get the Mothership core at all last game, right?
That's correct. Oh, no, that's not true. He did have one and put a time warp down, but then it got picked off by the Stalkers.
That's correct.
eNtity is getting a Starport. Stargate.
Yeah, they're all the same. Too many Terran games. Chrono Boost of the Warp Gate out of PalaDiN. Stargate in nearly the same position, except a little bit more extended out of PalaDiN. eNtity's is going to finish up a significant bit sooner, so it really depends on what they decide to bring out of these. I'm just going to assume it's going to be Oracle because I'd really like to see a Phoenix.
PalaDiN able to move down and pick off a Stalker of eNtity's. And I think you're going to be right this time.
I just said Oracle because I want to see a Phoenix.
I realize that, but I think that will actually cause you to be correct.
eNtity has yet to make anything out of the Stargate, just kind of hanging out, which is going to allow
But the Oracle does go down, so Aaron was right for once.
PalaDiN doing the exact same thing, also making an Oracle, so we're going to have a Oracle high five as these two come across the map. Actually, PalaDiN's Oracle is rallied to the ramp of his base, whereas eNtitY's is rallied to PalaDiN's base. Interested to see what that's about.
If you look at the units tab, you'll see that PalaDiN is actually ahead in units currently.
He is. 28 to 25 worker differential. Oracle of eNtitY pops out and is headed straight for PalaDiN's base.
Both players are getting a Phoenix now as well.
Looks like PalaDiN was a bit concerned about an Observer or a Dark Templar or something, using Envision to detect anything that may or may not have been cloaked. Phoenix pops out of PalaDiN to handle that Oracle easily. Oracle still sitting here doing its little detection dance. eNtitY pulls back with his Stalkers, gonna hang out, keep making some Phoenix. Glad I was able to see that. Phoenix play is one of my favorite things to do in PvP right now. It's largely just to keep the opponent pinned in their base, but with both players going Phoenix, PalaDiN is now, they're going to both have 3 when their respective Phoenix pop out. It's going to be a real close micro battle as to who gets the lead in the Phoenix count.
And honestly, both of their builds have looked very similar. PalaDiN's been able to pick off a few of eNtitY's units, but for the most part, and that has given him the food lead, but for the most part, they are building the same things at roughly the same times.
Looks like additional assimilators coming out for eNtitY. Going to be doubling up on the gas. Both players still making Phoenix, see if they continue. Looks like they're just going to be hanging out with them for now. 4 Phoenix out now for eNtitY. 4 Phoenix out now for PalaDiN, except PalaDiN is moving in with his, so we're going to have a Phoenix versus Phoenix battle here. Another one is going to pop out for eNtitY very quickly. PalaDiN loses 1. He's already behind now. eNtitY loses 1. 2 to 2. And an extra Phoenix pops out for eNtitY, which is going to put him in the lead. And Stalkers also come up to assist, but is he going to lose this extra Phoenix? It looks like no. He's going to just hightail it home with that. Relatively even. eNtitY saves 1 additional Phoenix over PalaDiN. And now eNtitY just continues on with the Phoenix production.
eNtitY's decided to put on a second warp or a star gate to increase his air production as he sees this turning into a air battle.
PalaDiN just keeping this Oracle hanging out here. It's like he's afraid of DTs or something. I can't imagine why that would be.
Well, with the number of Phoenix that are in eNtitY's base, I'm sure he doesn't want to walk that Oracle straight into its certain doom.
eNtitY moving across the map, we can see that PalaDiN has 4 Phoenix of his own outnumbering eNtitY at the moment, so if these Phoenix do meet, PalaDiN will have the upper hand. But eNtitY, if he does continue to make Phoenix, will be able to jump ahead with the 2 targets. But the Phoenix do meet up with the Mothership Core, which is going to take that out. But no, actually, the Mothership Core is going to be able to escape that as the Phoenix of PalaDiN come out. It also pops off that Photon Overcharge.
2 more Phoenix from eNtitY are trying to do a little bit of damage, but they realize they are outnumbered and trying to get out of there. Does pick off 1 of the Phoenix, but 1 is also taken down of his.
I feel like at this stage of Phoenix versus Phoenix battle, it's time for eNtitY to switch into something else because he's clearly lost that battle. But he does have 2 Stargates, so he could come back, I suppose.
He is getting a fleet beacon as well.
So he's going to go for that range upgrade.
Speed, or yeah, that range upgrade.
PalaDiN is going for air upgrades, so that could be a factor, as well as a forge. Maybe he will, if he's going to not be concentrating on air as much as eNtitY, it looks like. We've got a forge and a Twilight Council going down, possibly some Archons, DTs, either of which I would say are equally likely. eNtitY building up his Phoenix count. Now he is 1 behind PalaDiN.
Units lost tab favoring PalaDiN currently, as a lot of these trades have not been in eNtitY's favor.
Probe of eNtitY heading back home after doing some scouting across the map. Fleet beacon done. Pulse crystals being researched, which increases the range of the Phoenix by 2. This will give eNtitY quite the advantage because he will be able to chase down PalaDiN's Phoenix and continue attacking them. +1 air weapons just finishing up for PalaDiN. PalaDiN also opting to go the route of Blink, and instead of having the Phoenix numbers, putting the cannons in his base as he moves out to see what he can do. Pulse Crystals is not going to be done when he moves in unless he holds off, which maybe he is. Looks like it's about 10 seconds from completing. PalaDiN is going to move in before it finishes. He's going to try and lift up the Zealots, and now the Phoenix are going to engage each other. This is going to be a heavy micro battle as the Phoenix of eNtitY, now with Pulse Crystals complete, are just ravaging the Phoenix of PalaDiN, but he needs to back them up to take advantage of that range upgrade. All the Phoenix of PalaDiN fall down. Now he's going to lift up the Stalkers to take them out of the battle and allow the Stalkers of his own to do more damage. And more Phoenix come in to help with the Stalkers.
Microing those Stalkers back to lure the Zealots into the Photon Overcharge.
Those Phoenix now are going to be able to take out a good number of those Stalkers as they can chase them down.
And he's pleased with the amount of damage and the defense that he held there. He's just going to move on back and continue to build.
Units lost tab favoring eNtitY. PalaDiN at 5,700 now, eNtitY at 3,900.
And that was just not a good engagement for PalaDiN at all.
That timing of the Pulse Crystals was pretty impeccable. If that would not have come out, that would have been a huge factor because PalaDiN's Phoenix just evaporated. Even though he did have the +1 air upgrade. Now eNtitY, knowing he has a huge Phoenix differential, is going to press that to try and do some harassment and also just take down these Phoenix so easily since he has that range upgrade. PalaDiN now going for +1 ground attack and expanding to a third.
Taking 3 gateways, looks like he's going to try to transition just into ground, knowing that he cannot compete in the air battle.
Photon Overcharge goes down. It's going to...
We also have some High Templars from PalaDiN, and he was able to get a feedback on a few of those. A little bit of a miss rally on those Phoenix. They're going to take some damage, but he does manage to get them out.
That one Phoenix at very low HP. Looks like PalaDiN has completely abandoned the Phoenix or air at this point, going for the heavy gateway, heavy ground upgrades, getting more gas at his expansion. Third base with 2 gas going down, reinforcing the cannons. eNtitY doing the same as his third base is just finishing, going for the double gas there as well.
Templar Archives about to finish from eNtitY, and he has put down a Dark Shrine.
Dark Shrine. So it looks like that Oracle that PalaDiN... Does PalaDiN still have that Oracle hanging around? No, he does not. Must have been killed by the Phoenix. At any rate, there's a Zealot whacking at something around here. I hear it. Zealot's whacking around at the pylon of eNtitY in the back of PalaDiN's base. That's going to supply block him. eNtity's going to swoop in and try and take out some probes with his large number of Phoenix. He's going to be able to use those for a lot of harassment, even with the cannons, because one cannon really isn't going to put a huge hindrance on 8 Phoenix. Zealot charge going down for PalaDiN as well. Storm for eNtitY. We've got a little bit of a lull in the action here. eNtitY has a pylon at the right base. Everyone's
PalaDiN has been growing his High Templar count, and he's currently got 7 of them. I'm sorry, did I say PalaDiN? I meant PalaDiN. Yes. Looks like he's going to try and use them simply for feedback. As well, he does have Psionic Storm researching, but it's quite a ways away.
Phoenix going to be coming back around to see what they can do. Feedback will be very useful as these Phoenix have been hanging around. They have almost full energy, so feedbacks will take those Phoenix down if you can get them on. But also, similarly, those Phoenix can pick up the High Templar and dispatch them with relative ease. It's all a matter of who micros better. This being the longest game.
And those Phoenix are going right in.
Oh,
a couple of great feedbacks going down.
Nice spot by PalaDiN knowing those were coming in. Looks like PalaDiN now going for the Archons. Zealot charge about 3/4 done for eNtitY. More High Templar for PalaDiN, as well as ground armor level 1.
eNtitY adds a few High Templar of his own, and a Dark Templar is moving across the map looking for an additional base, does not find one, just kind of hanging out.
Phoenix of eNtitY pop into PalaDiN's main and kill almost every single probe in there. Photon overcharge goes down, but does not enough to scare those Phoenix away, as he just wanted those probes dead. They were easy to pick up because they were all mining on a single mineral patch, as everything else was mined out. Looking at the units lost, eNtitY has lost 21. eNtitY has killed 21 probes. Most of those were in that engagement.
PalaDiN has decided that he's going to try and push here. He might be able to catch those Phoenix off guard, but eNtitY moves them around just in time. eNtity's moving his High Templar.
Nice feedbacks on the Phoenix. At this point, the only thing the Phoenix is good for is
there's the
his,
storms.
oh my gosh, epic storms on all those zealots.
And the return storms.
Actually, those first two storms were eNtity's on PalaDiN's zealots, and the second storms were PalaDiN's on eNtity's. It looks like it's hard to tell who's going to come up ahead.
Looks like PalaDiN's doing all right, and eNtitY in
nice
fact is
blink
moving
up
back.
to take those void rays out.
eNtitY is pulling his probes. Oh, he's just mineraling, walking them somewhere else.
Blinks up right on top of that Immortal to take that out. Photon overcharge on the natural nexus of eNtitY. Going to be moving back up. Those zealots kind of trapping a couple of those stalkers there. Both players come out of that at fairly even. eNtitY even putting down a fourth base, rallying all those probes. Those probes walked right through that entire army to take their trek over there.
PalaDiN decided he didn't want to risk taking those. He wanted to do as much damage to the army as he could.
That was quite the valiant mission of those probes. All right, soldiers, you're going to walk right through battle.
In the units lost tab, eNtitY has again taken the lead in that count, but it is fairly close.
Upgrades going down as well. eNtitY getting his +3/+3. Ground weapons 3 going down for PalaDiN. He already has ground weapons ground weapons 2 and armor 1. So eNtitY is going to be in a big upgrade lead here. PalaDiN putting down a robo. Interested to see what he's going to go for out of that. Probably a Warp Prism. I don't think Colossus would be doing him any good at this juncture, as he's got that Zealot Archon mix. eNtitY continuing to move into the ground units more, as he's jumped ahead on the upgrades with the double forges here at the front. Fourth base getting saturated, getting lots of the gas from there.
eNtitY has moved a DT into the army of PalaDiN and is taking some thwacks at things, and eNtitY is also getting Tempests. That's something we haven't seen at all in this tournament.
We have not seen Tempests at all in this tournament. I'm wondering what eNtity's air upgrades are at the moment. It looks like he has no air upgrades, so those Tempests are going to be interesting.
PalaDiN does get an Observer and takes down that Dark Templar that was thwacking away at things.
Tenant's taking care of the chat requests. eNtitY moves into PalaDiN's third base, trying to take that out. Deciding he wants to focus the Nexus down. Is he going to get it, though? I don't think so.
Doesn't look likely.
PalaDiN's really
but
catching
that
up.
Dark Templar is still there.
Yeah, one last poke. There's another gaggle of zealots here on the right coming in, but PalaDiN has his own gaggle to match. eNtitY moving down to the... I'm not even sure what base number this is. It's a base of PalaDiN's that he's moving into.
And storms are going down onto those Archons.
Storm's not going to be doing a lot of damage to the Archons.
Stalkers blink forward to take down those two Tempests.
PalaDiN really jumping ahead with this engagement. 151 to 94 now of eNtitY.
I don't think that went how eNtitY envisioned it would.
eNtitY, I think the change to Tempest for eNtitY is a bit of a misstep, because PalaDiN has Blink, he's got Archons, he's got Zealots, all of which can just... You really need the ground forces to buffer for the Tempest, and while eNtitY does have 3/3, I am surprised he's doing that, because his ground army is going to be where his meat is right now, and he just lost most of it aside for what's sitting at his natural. transferring more probes over as his main gets mined out. This game has been a batches of action and then batches of passivity.
It looks like PalaDiN has gotten his guster up, and he's going to push forward into the third of eNtitY.
Most
Try and
of the
take that
units
out.
of eNtitY are sitting at his... Oh, PalaDiN has a change of heart.
Momentarily, I think, just to regroup, and then he's going to be moving in.
PalaDiN now at 200 of 200, moving up to take on eNtity's army directly. He's probably going to blink up to try and take those Tempests.
Fair enough.
PalaDiN blinks up. PalaDiN blinks up, doing good damage to those Tempests. Takes one out. The second one is about to fall. A third one shows up to the party, and that one is not going to last long either. PalaDiN making a very aggressive push in here. It looks like he's going to be able to take this. See if eNtitY has anything up his sleeve to try and hold him off. Another Tempest is going to go down if he can blink up into it. Looks like he decides not to. All the Archons doing massive damage at the natural.
eNtitY continuing to produce Tempest.
He is actually chrono boosting an air upgrade out. +1 is being chrono boosted in the back of his base. eNtitY, meanwhile, is not producing anything besides these two Tempests. These Archons are now going to move up here, and this main is going to go down pretty quickly.
And we see more Zealots moving forward, trying to put the linchpin into this this attack.
Dark Templar now being warped into
And there's the GG.
A good Game 4, evening out the series.
And now we're down to a best of 1 out of this best of 5. As both of these players have been playing impeccably, making trades here and there, and the food fluctuating violently.
Indeed. PalaDiN has definitely been one that the food count has not been all that important of a stat. He does not care.
He doesn't care what food number you're at. He will come back.
So now I am going to run to take a brief